In Canada, there are now tens of thousands of Canadians who are dying every year from the MAID program, the so-called Medical Assistance in Death program, that the Liberal Party of Canada attempted to legalize children as young as 12. As young as 12, getting medical assisted in dying. Fortunately, the Conservatives fought him and it's only up to 18, but still disgusting. Tens of thousands of Canadians, many with depressions in their 20s, in their 30s, are now literally allowing the government of Canada is offering to kill them at the same time as they are advertising internationally Canada's free healthcare system. I showed a screenshot. The government of Canada is going on an advertising blitz about how new immigrants to this country receive free healthcare. This is at the same time that the average wait time in an ER for a Canadian citizen is between 12 and 24 hours, depending on what province you're in. I personally know 2 people who passed away due to our broken healthcare system. Tens of thousands of Canadians die every year. They undershoot it. The government of Canada admits at least 70,000. I think the number is exponentially higher than that. But undoubtedly, tens of thousands of Canadians die every year because they cannot get the healthcare they need. What do you call a country that invites immigrants in with the incentive of free healthcare at the same time as, due to their insane immigration policies, 8 million people coming into the country in the past decade? Canadians can't get, the Canadians who are longtime Canadians cannot get the healthcare that they need. We are in a cost of living crisis, undoubtedly, again, due to insane Liberal policies that have seen GDP per capita in Canada, one of the most resource-rich countries in the world. GDP per capita has fallen 6 quarters in a row. This is widely considered the best measure of how your average Canadian is doing. And 6 quarters in a row, GDP per capita has dropped. That is malevolent. That is not a mistake. GDP dropped 1.6%, whether we're talking rental or ownership. More and more Canadians, more than ever before, are struggling to get by. Over 2 million Canadians use a food bank every year. At the same time as their policies have destroyed the economy, more Canadians struggling than ever before, the Canadian government decides to really emphasize MAID. Killing yourself? What do you call this? I'm not going to bring up the regime names so this video doesn't get taken down, but these are the types of eugenics tactics that we have seen throughout history. They're putting, as per usual, the woke government of Canada is putting this pretty woke veneer on it, but it's literally, when you look at the process, it's nasty. They're sterilizing and killing people off in an economy that's struggling. It's truly disturbing. If you want service in the Canadian healthcare sector, it's incredibly slow. Whether you're talking about going to an emergency room, going to talk to a doctor, a regular checkup, unless you're a very wealthy 1%er Canadian, it is incredibly difficult to get services in this country. You know where the one exception lies? The one exception lies with MAID. It is disturbing. If you call MAID, I had to test it out because I had heard that this was the case, but I found it hard to believe because if you want anything standard, the level of difficulty is shocking. But if you want to call MAID in this one context, it is so easy. You are connected with somebody immediately and they tell you within 24 to 48 hours, they'll get you in touch with a nurse to take the next step. 24 to 40 hours. You can't get that with anything else except for MAID, medical assistance in dying. It's pathetic. And I know Canadians don't want to think this way, but what do you call it when we have a government that already knows we have a struggling economy, record number of Canadians using food banks, record number of Canadians using opioids, we have a housing crisis. These are all due to Liberal policies. 10 years ago in 2015, we didn't have any of these crises until Justin Trudeau came into power, implemented all these green initiatives throughout our economy, safe supply, flooding the zone with immigration, all of these policies that have decimated us economically, putting the focus of the country on all this woke ideological bullshit rather than the success of the average middle and lower class Canadian. And now after 10 years of absolute economic devastation that have seen Canada go from one of the wealthiest to one of the poorest in the G7. We have a 7.1% unemployment rate. We have a 22% unemployment rate among young males. That is unheard of in a first world country. 1 in 4 young Canadian males are unemployed. That is an absolute disaster, and that is undoubtedly because immigrants are taking all the jobs. At the same time as we're seeing all this economic ravage, which obviously has a lot of carryover into people's psyches, how people are feeling on a day-to-day basis. At the same time as this, now the government of Canada is coming out and saying, we will kill you incredibly easily. People don't like to take a dark view of things, but this is pretty much as dark as it gets. The fact that you would push this crap to people, and don't think that this is all people who are in their 70s, in their 80s. Absolutely not. You read story after story, people in their 20s, people in their 30s, people who are struggling financially, people who are struggling mentally in Canada have accepted medical assistance dying. In the United States, there are several states where this is legal, and in all of those states, the average wait time from the time that you first reach out to the time that you receive MAID is approximately between 50 and 60 days. In Oregon, I believe it's about 57 days. You want to know what the average wait time is in Canada? The entire healthcare system is incredibly slow. The only thing that they can do quickly and efficiently is MAID. It's 10 days. That's it. From the first time you reach out to MAID to the time that the procedure is complete, the average wait time is only 10 days, whereas in the States as well as throughout Europe, I think the fastest on average in certain states is about 50 days. So why are we doling out every other healthcare service so incredibly inefficiently and slowly? But for whatever reason, this one MAID program, they'll roll it out incredibly quickly. There's some extremely dark stuff going on in Canada right now. One bright spot is out in Nova Scotia, one of the liberal bastions of the world. A bunch of conservatives just won an election to take power in Nova Scotia politics, which is huge. People are finally seeing through Carney what a total farce and a liar is. How he talked about this was the biggest economic catastrophe in Canadian history in the run-up to the election, and then as soon as he can't get a deal done on tariffs with Trump, he goes, "We have the best trade deal with the United States." The guy is just an oh-no liar. He's in it for himself. Brookfield Asset Management stock is up something like 40% since he was elected. He's in it for himself. He's going to private business. He could give two shits about middle and lower class Canadians, just like the rest of the Liberal Party of Canada. And thank God, based on these Nova Scotia election results, Canadians are waking up to see it. Now we need to demand that the NDP forces a by-election as soon as humanly, or vote a no confidence and get an election as soon as possible, because we have an evil, malevolent government right now in Canada that we need to get rid of. They are full-on commies. They want to destroy this country. They want violence in the country. They want Canadians done. We need to fight back now. Write your MPs. Please like, share, subscribe. Join, become a member. Really appreciate it. Everybody who does, grab some gear. If you're watching on YouTube, it's under the video. Really appreciate everyone who does, again, and helps get the Fight for Canada message out. And if you're watching on TikTok, I'm at 27k followers, and the Canadian government's not a big fan of distance, so make sure you're following on YouTube, youtube.com/Fight for Canada 2025. And yeah, look into MAID a little more, because you're going to be very disturbed. What's going on in Canada is very disturbing.